I'm that girl, and I don't know algebra. Isn't it amazing what my subconscious loves to let you know about me and to let me be reminded about me? Fun times. And this week and this month, last month, because it's now October, um, was incredibly busy. And it is incredible how we're still struggling with certain things. And it's just until we stop and think about a few things, then we can kind of get a new perspective on what's going on there and why. And the information they gave me to share with you to be able to talk, I can feel my subconscious saying, yeah, you mansplain it today. And I say, I will. I will try my best. So the information I got, so I usually wake up around about 3 a.m. and drink my trusty glass of water, and then sort of just feel into the energy of, am I supposed to be consciously here, what's going on here and why. Knowing when I can pull in a lot of high frequency to just send love to everyone and kind of tuck everyone into bed. And obviously not just my household, like not only just my community, but, sort of, I just imagine sending out this big wave of beautiful energy of high frequency to everyone, and then it seems like I will either get distracted and be online, or I can fall back to sleep and then sort of find myself once again in meetings. And when I'm in these meetings, I kind of feel like we're talking about these big lists of information to be able to sort of deliver and to give to you. And sometimes I sort of remember that, and sometimes I sort of don't remember all of it. Actually, I don't think I remember all of it. It's just summary notes, and then come back into the body, and then here I am chatting to you guys and trying to trust that there is one thing that I know they want me to try and explain to you, and then it kind of all unfolds. And then while I'm opening myself up to give the right information, because I don't really want to sort of speak from too much human perspectives and mindsets, because I do like to rely on the information that my clients have given me when they've been channeling as well. So I'm very mindful that I'm trying to just give you the metaphysical perspectives versus, some girl in New Zealand still in her pajamas trying to talk metaphysics, but really just coming from a not an advanced perspective. And I want to be able to share all the advanced perspectives I get from quantum sessions, because I know my clients are very advanced souls. And if they're struggling with a few little things because they just haven't quite been able to put in the perspectives of the keys for their own personal puzzles, I know that if they're struggling, then potentially you guys at home may know someone else that's also got this perspective that could need some updating. So the information that they shared with me today was about reminding us that we're all fragments of source, or fractions of source, or fingernails of source, or toenails of source, whatever you have in your understanding of the part of you that is still the part of source. And so all our soul fragments, aspects, whatever you want to call the soul part of this 3D body, can also and will also merge back into being source. And it's almost like a part of source is having a lifetime day trip here on earth. And that's fantastic. And there's many other day trips along the way, as it is removed itself from source to be able to experience different aspects of different dimensions, different lives, different realities, to then be able to find its way back. And it's not a linear thing. Between each lifetime, you could go back to source instead of going to a higher dimension and embodying once again, say your Palladian body or your Arcturian body, for example, which I know many people do, and instead of going to source. So we're busy and we're doing lots of stuff. So what they wanted to say today is that, remember how we're God, right? We're part of God, we're part of source, we're part of all of that. So they're also wanting to say, since we're all, we can also be the devil. And choices. And so it was about them saying and showing you can either sort of, obviously we can't always be God and we can't always be the devil, just like we can't always be human. We've still got to be sleeping. Anyway, I'm distracting myself now, so that's definitely human. So what they were saying is you can choose which one you want to be. High frequency vibrations, being in love, would be source, God, right? Whatever those labels are. Doubt, worry, fear, jealousy, judgment, materialism, competition, fear, or the naughty list, right? We all do. And we get a choice each moment forward. We get to choose what we want to feel, and what we want to think of others and feel of others. And so, are we choosing a God moment or are we choosing the devil moment? Right. And knowing that they're all human experiences, they're all human emotions, what are we choosing? And when we do not think that we're lovable, we go to God, we go to the devil. We become the devil who just says nasty things about ourselves and to others, and that lowers our frequency, right? We're in hell because we're the devil. And then when we are choosing to love ourselves, honor ourselves, respect ourselves, accept what we've been doing, and when we can trust life contracts, and when we can respect all people's free will, and also know sometimes they're choosing to be the devil, and sometimes they're choosing to be the God, and sometimes they're just choosing to be human, which does all of the ranges of things. Sometimes you have to play the role of the devil to know moral compassly it doesn't feel good. Right. So it's kind of like you tell your friends you're not going to like the pickle ice cream, and they say, oh, no, I've heard from others it sounds cool, and everyone's posting about it on Instagram, so I must try the pickle ice cream. And we're like, don't do it, we've done it, it's disgusting, we vomited. And then someone's got to still try to have that pickle ice cream, to have that naughty list option, to really feel the flavor, make it sort of sit in the body and be like, oh yeah, that was an interesting choice, I'm not going to be doing that anymore, I'd like my whatever. And so many of us are punishing ourselves for having the choices to try the pickle ice cream, to try to be the devil, to try the no list. Even people who are so kind and so sweet and such beautiful humanitarians are still judging themselves for exploring their bodies. Okay, so love is love, which we've heard in sessions. See how quickly I start blushing now. Love is love. And when we accept that love is kind and beautiful, and it is consensual and all this sort of stuff, this is a positive. This will raise our frequency vibrations. When we start judging ourselves, step back, none. Anyway, okay. So when we start judging ourselves for exploring our bodies and having all of the ice cream flavored choices, to have all the human experiences, we have to experience this. When someone tells us, if you eat that ice cream and you like it, you're going to hell. And you eat it, it's not that bad actually. I kind of enjoyed moments of it, but so and so was telling me that I should be going to hell. Then we're putting our high frequency vibrations, we're putting our trust in who we are and why we're here and all this sort of stuff, and we're allowed to have experiences to learn and grow from. We're giving away our powers to someone else who's judgmental, who doesn't respect free will, who doesn't respect I'm allowed to make lots of mistakes while I'm human, to be able to learn and grow from them, and to have those experiences. again, when someone keeps telling you don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, you know, and it may be very valid. Don't kill, don't do this, don't do that. Yeah, fully get it. I don't necessarily want to try all of those things just to test that out. But I also know that I have, you know, for example, with killing, you know, I have killed bugs in my garden. I absolutely did that consciously. And so I know how that makes me feel. You know, I could say with hopes and crossing my fingers and toes, I hope those were life contracts. But you know what? It's already been done. So regardless of whether it was a life contract or not, I've learned from that. And, you know, I feel like my subconscious is like, that was a positive experience, even though I definitely did play the devil with that. And we've all done that, right? If we're going to be honest with ourselves, we've all done things. You're remembering that there is bacteria that is on our skin, and each time we wash our faces and wash our hands, someone was judging me for this, so they're reminding you of this just to put you back in your place. When you wash your hands, you're killing bacteria, and bacteria is also living. So, you know, fun times to be honest with ourselves and stop judging others and actually be responsible for everything and be mindful of everything that you do. Everything. Now, you're not going to stop washing your hands, are you? No. So, whoever is listening with judgy eyes and ears, you know, grow. It's a fantastic time to grow. So anyway, and so anyway, so people are still saying things like this, and I understand because I've definitely done this. Oh, religion, ugh, hideous. And I used to think that, and I also have a degree in religion, and I used to think certain people in religions, you know, were really like that, you know, really sort of judgmental and, you know, sort of thought that they were better than everyone else because, you know, God's going to save them and kill us. You know, so what did seem to be what I've been led to learn, and this is consistent with all writers and all people who have written literature to be able to help humanity. So Muhammad came into a session, Jesus came into a session, you know, Dolores Cannon's come into a session, you know, Louise Hayes has come into a, like, you know, we know lots. I could go on and on and on about who has come into sessions to remind us of their literature. Profound, right? And it's really always the same, and the information may have different words and have different approaches, but it really is about how we can love ourselves, to empower ourselves, to remember we're a bigger fraction of something amazing and pure, and we're always worthy of loving ourselves, and we're always capable of loving others, even those who are playing in the naughty pit of hell that they've created for themselves. So you know, all authors are still saying while they were human and they were trying to help, lots of those authors were guided by high dimensional beings trying to give us really good information, right? Pick or choose whether we want to apply it or not. The thing that is always consistent with these authors and these leaders and these influencers, such as Jesus and Muhammad, is their information, while it is true and pure and has the reminder to empower yourself, to love yourself, really love yourself, not just like a hobby, but like really honor yourself. I just want to say this: when you're not making sure that you're using your choices to love yourself and honor yourself and be high frequency vibrational, if you're flipping into being the little devil of yourself, you're not loving yourself and you're dropping your frequency vibrations. So choose a path. Are you the devil for yourself, or are you the God for yourself? And it seems like you can't be, you know, I mean, you can be all, you can always be both. But at each stage and each moment, you're either being one or the other. And so sort of like the little devil on your shoulder is your choices. And the little angel on your shoulder is also your choices. And, you know, again, there's no right or wrong, but it's about, if you're still listening to that little devil on your shoulder telling you that you're a piece of nothing, you're only human, you know, you weren't the best, fastest runner, and you didn't get A's all the time, and so said that so else was prettier than you, or whatever narrative you're still telling yourself, which is basically the little devil on your shoulder telling you that you're not worthy of love because you experimented with your body once, you experimented with plant medicine a few times, you experimented with, dancing on a pole when you were drunk, like whatever you think you don't, whatever you're still blaming yourself for your choices that you've made, and you keep telling yourself that you can't love yourself because that time you had fun, or that time that you thought you're going to have fun and you didn't have fun, and now you're fucked because you're always going to be putting yourself in hell. So anyway, side rant. So what the subconscious is reminding me to get on point with is that that Jesus, Muhammad, Dolores Cannon, all these sort of people, they're wanting to empower you, right? They're wanting to empower you to be able to think for yourselves, to love for yourselves, and to remember that love is always going to be godly, source-like, whatever, and to be able to just be simply honoring and respecting yourselves, and seeing, are you saying, I'm going to love myself until I'll love myself when I'm in those skinny jeans. I'll love myself when I have that job. I'll love myself when I have that boyfriend. I love myself when I have those children. Like, what are you still holding on to? Are you not loving yourself because someone else has criticized you for something? And, that's looping in your head again because, you feel like, well, that wasn't my best moment and I was called out on it. Like, seriously look at what is handbraking you from loving yourself. Because I'm seeing so many advanced souls trash talking themselves to me, really quite concerningly, because, there is a difference between I'm hot shit versus I'm a piece of shit. And, that there needs to be a beautiful balance. And while we're feeling uncomfortable sometimes being in our human roles, our souls are still here, and our souls are just experiencing the human roles. So again, what they're trying to say is, while the information from these pure guides, Jesus, Muhammad, for example, while their messages were pure and did come from beautiful perspectives, man and people and woman even have sort of taken their information and kind of twisted it around. And, and even if they've got the pure information, they're still trying to add upon their own requirements. And some of those, which do look like religious construction, religious I'm feeling like they're trying to talk to me and I'm trying to speak to you, and it's not my words. So we've got this information that has been given to us by important people, right? That we want to classify as they knew what they're talking about. They knew how to empower themselves, and they knew how to give us the information to empower ourselves if we wanted to. So they're fantastic. They want to be helping us to be fantastic. And then some religions have taken over and eclipsed the information and heightened some parts about the devil, hell, all this sort of stuff, and made it feel like we are ungodly, made us feel like we are worthless, made us feel like we are sinners, all this stuff, right? And when you love the information at that core level, but it's got all this other attachment stuff to it, it can make us feel like, how can we be everything? How can I love myself but also know I'm a sinner? And the doom and gloom of going to hell can make people feel very they give up because they judge themselves so much. They listen to what they respect the authority in the churches and mosques or whatever. They are getting their one source of information about how to love themselves and to love each other's, with true brother and sister qualities, and reminding each other to be responsible for our mindsets, be responsible for our bodies, all this fun stuff. So the consistent information that I'm hearing from these authors and these influencers is humans will twist it. And we know Dolores has come into many sessions and she has said that, you know, even her words and her information have been out of date now and haven't been taken into the full context. And they're sort of saying it is like, I could say a sentence, and if you don't have the same, if you don't want to see my full integrity and information and the purpose and the significance of that sentence, you can use that sentence and twist it. And yeah, she is saying that well, they're all sort of saying the God and the devil can use quotes from the Bible for their own service, for their own purpose, for their own agenda. So it's about, again, feeling into your own feelings of information and guiding yourself. And I think most people do that now. Most people understand that while it's always interesting to hear what other people are gossiping about and talking about, if we're distracting ourselves with our core values of self, if we are listening to other people's opinions about ourselves, and that's our identity of self, you know, then we're not having a true sense of self, because it's from someone who was angry with us at that time, and you know, whatever. So so the meeting that I was in, they were saying how it's our, obviously it's our choices and perceptions. We can't be fully God here on earth when we are human. We can be human, fully human. And what fully human is having heaps of experiences on the good list, on the bad list, and still have fun with it and still make amends. If we've done something to someone while we were doing the naughty list and that feels really heavy on our moral conscience, fantastic. We get to apologize. We get to own our choices and decisions and the impacts we have on others. Being responsible is embarrassing sometimes when we've not been always love and lighting each other. So the other thing that they're sort of saying is if someone's mansplaining to you a book or a movie, or don't have that pickle ice cream, often we have to eat the ice cream, watch the movie, read the book to get it for ourselves, what it feels for us and what our intuition is saying about that experience. And that is really important. We trust too many other people's opinions and reviews, and sort of don't check into our own. And that can be quite confusing too. So I had I've had experiences in the past where people in sessions think they're going to see something or they're going to hear something when they are starting to channel their subconscious. And we know when Dolores Cannon was doing her sessions, the vibrations of humanity and the clients were kind of down here, and the vibrations of the subconscious is way up here, right? And so they had to be super relaxed to open themselves up, and the subconscious came in, and then they did this transition of channeling through the vehicle. Fantastic, right? We love the books about that, and we love all the information, and we can ask in sessions and fact check all that information too from your clients, and that is a fantastic thing to do, not having just assumptions that those clients are our part of our collective or whatever. If there was anything interesting in those books, and I've experienced this too, lots of people wanting to understand about, like Easter Island and all this sort of stuff. And when the client's channeling it, it's the same information that even Dolores got. So, this is, the subconscious isn't like this random hobo in a different dimension. The subconscious is, an advanced being that has got collective information for what's going on this planet. And so it doesn't seem to matter really what subconscious we have. They're still going to give us the same facts, right? They're saying if you asked all subconsciouses algebra questions, they would give you the same answers. So I'll trust them on that. So where was I going with that before I was rudely interrupted? So we are so intertwined with our subconscious now, and we think all in here is just us. It's just us. Everything else is outside of us. It's just my human body, my human mind, and everything's just ego. And kind of, but not really. And so when I'm thinking with my human mind, I can feel it from this side. And then when I can feel into them, I can feel on this side. When I'm channeling, I can feel it within. I'm pointing out of my body, but it's actually really within my body. But because they're so big, that it just feels like it's this infinite space of information. So it's very interesting. And I kind of tune into it. And it's hard to explain, easy to do. And so when you're in sessions and my clients are in a beautiful, relaxed state, and I'm asking the subconscious a question, and they've got their eyes closed, and they're hearing me, and they say, "Oh, Joe, no, I'm just thinking this because I just said Victorian, and that must have been my mind thinking that because it came into my mind, and I'm still listening for information outside of myself, and I still can't see anything." And so it is hard for people to trust the thoughts that pop into their heads in sessions, because their heads is where they think, their heads are where they talk, and this is how they use human part of their lives. And so it's very strange when you start channeling and actually understanding that it's still within your mind, and it's not hearing something outside of the room or next door to us. I think I would poop my pants if I started hearing a very strong voice mansplaining to me tough love and how we should just suck it up and love each other blindlessly, because we're still so judgmental, and we have hurdles to forgive people and move on and accept that they were just assholes that day. And when they were assholes that day, it hurt us. And we can choose to feel hurt. But, we want those assholes to own up, confess, and apologize. Confess is the good thing. If you were an asshole, confess about it. Don't pretend, "Oh, I don't know what happened that day." Why you're not talking to me? We all know what happened. Anyway. So and this is how, when family members were starting to speak about the crimes against humanity and their thoughts of, inoculations and a whole lot of stuff, those single serving conversations, or maybe a few heated conversations, really seem to be unforgivable for both sides. And this is a real sticking point, and people have an opportunity to get over their feelings and to get over other people's free will and belief systems. But if they're afraid that the unvaccinated are going to kill them because you've got the plague now, they're still coming from a very fear-based situation where they're not open to talking to someone who's got natural immunity. I've heard. So that's just judgmental, and we have to just love them for their fear. We have to love them for their judgmentalness. We have to love them for them constantly choosing to be the devil, because that's the best that they're coping with. I mean, they could always be better if that's, us casting judgment. But right now, their teams and their whole world is in a form of hell, because that's how they're wanting to live life at the moment, obviously, right? Because their teams would do dramatic things to them. We all have heard people who were just cruising their lives, being quite happy in 3D, and then suddenly having the biggest epiphany of ever, that they have, thought they were either having a mental breakdown or something else, because it was so profound. And the subconscious is not shy. anymore, and they've got big access now to awaken people who are supposed to awaken, and big accesses now to be able to get people's attentions if they have been distracting themselves. And it seems like those people who still don't feel good about themselves, don't feel enough, don't feel important enough, don't feel loved enough, when we know all of that's our own inner work, when there are people that are still self-focused to focus on their own lack of love and empowerment of self, when they're still slowly getting there, if you're supposed to have already done your inner work, unpacked it, and now be in super balanced peace and harmony to be able to love others blindlessly, with your joy and compassion for humanity, your teams are going to get you, aren't they? With love, they're going to really make you focus on what on earth are you holding on to for? Why are you holding back? Because while you're sort of, taking your sweet time to empower yourself, to love yourself, people need you. People need you. And there's people everywhere. They're online, they're in your supermarkets. And if you try to avoid having a smile, an engagement, an acknowledgement with someone just in your supermarket, are you being of service, my friends? And of course, I can spend 5 hours at the supermarket picking up some fruit if I engaged with everybody. But I know the difference between when I don't want to have eye contact versus acknowledging people in the room. And I think we're supposed to be acknowledging people in the room. I think we're supposed to be loving everyone and not trying to be small and invisible and just, oh, I didn't do my makeup. Well, newsflash, I haven't done makeup since the 80s. So I fully respect the way that I show myself to the world, and I fully want to be of service. So when I am out, I want to engage and make people see that I see them with a smile, with compassion, acknowledgement. I can also feel their fear and their insane stresses of finances. And now they're trying to make better food choices, but there's also a lot of other things going on. So I almost sort of feel like if you went to the hospital, into an accident, an emergency, people are really fixated on that one single hurt, and they're very concerned about how things are going to go for them. And so, they can be bleeding and bandaged up and swollen and in pain. The same could be said about emotional trauma at the supermarkets. Everyone's out there. They've done this routine so many times at the supermarket. They know where everything really is most of the time. So they're very open. They're not at home focusing on their duties. They're not at work. So they're in this in-between other routine. And so they've got everything going on for them at the supermarket while they're making choices of, what's the best price, what's the best health, blah, 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 blah. So, they're really coming to this point where they're feeling their whole lives, and they can feel very heavy and very preoccupied with what's next. As soon as they leave that supermarket, then they've got to unpack it and then deal with their home lives. And there's not much joy in them when they're supermarket shopping, for the majority, right? Obviously there's exceptions. People jazz hands in and showing smiles. And, if you are feeling very overwhelmed with things right now, someone in your face smiling can be very obnoxious, and so it's about feeling in that density and absorbing it for them, and just giving them this love bubble, this big, and we can do it consciously or unconsciously, even if we just walk past them. Our high frequency would be giving them a little energy boost. It can't not. And so, they will feel relieved for a bit being in that energy, remembering our energy fields aren't just at the end of our skin. We're big glowing beings. And so this is why lots of people also been drawn to us, because of the the energy that we sort of emulate, I don't know, shine out, I'm not too sure. But so, you know, people are concerned when they don't feel like they're being of service, how to be of service. They say, well, I hear this all the time, Joe, how am I supposed to be of service? You know, I work from home, blah, 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 blah. Being at the supermarket and just imagining just loving everyone, you know, and just being kind and coming from a heart space of love and appreciation. If you see that there is something that they are struggling with, then it would be polite to offer it. Sometimes we're too polite. We don't want to bother them with trying to offer to do something for them, because, you know, obviously they can do it for themselves. We can do everything for ourselves, but isn't it nice when we are struggling with something that someone offers to help? And I know that most of us always do this naturally, but for those people who are too shy, because, well, what if I offer them help and they yell at me? But we still offered help. We can't hold back from what we're afraid people will react to, because we'll do nothing. And so, you know, it's their choices to react. It's their choices to see that we're actually trying to be their little angels versus the devil. And, you know, kindness is still trendy, and loving each other is still kind. So, yeah, it's interesting. When you're still not able to fully love yourself, you feel like other people can see that, and they potentially can. And if you don't feel like you've got full confidence of the kind of person that you are, I mean, you'll know that you're kind people when you want to be. And to try and love people who are still in fear, shocked of all these sudden exit points for people and all this sort of stuff. I mean, while we know what we know, we still have to remind ourselves of what they know and where their perspectives are, and how they are not aware of life after death, for example. And, you know, they're going through all the range of pains and emotions. They're attached to grief and death and all this stuff. So it's so easy to have our balance and peace when we know what we know. And unfortunately, not everyone knows what we know. And so having to remind ourselves what they're going through and how very real it is, how very tragic it is, you know, they're very genuine with that. And sometimes it catches us off guard when we forget about the range of human emotions and the small details that trip them up, and they take it so seriously. And you know, so sometimes we find it a bit of a challenge to kind of match their seriousness and their, you know, their focus and perspectives, because you just don't. And that makes us feel again that, you know, it's hard to come down to their fear and worry. And we don't have to go down to their fear and worry, but we can be compassionate, understanding, and accepting that this is where they're at right now. And it is painful. You know, the emotions do get you. They're very strong, very real. And yeah, it's fun times. And so, as we know, we've been told, you know, to be prepared for everything. And everything is a lot, isn't it? And so while being in peace and balance, knowing that the shifts and the biggest shifts and the events coming can be anything, can be everything. And so are we emotionally prepared for that? Are we emotionally prepared to be able to support ourselves and others? And, you know, and be able to still, you know, not lose our cool, not lose our balance, and not lose our own peace, faith and hope, and understanding of what the shift is and why. So, you know, it's a very fun time to be here of service. So check with yourselves. Are you still being the devil to yourself sometimes? Are you still being the devil to others sometimes? And when are you, you know, working with source and respecting yourselves? And respecting others and accepting others. It's a very fun time, and I can see many people still tripping over the animals and the life contracts that the animals have chosen for themselves. You know, a soul is not stupid. A soul knows exactly what's going to happen with that life contract because they designed it, they accepted it, they know what they're going to go in for. So if you are going to be a cow and you know what that dairy farming cow's life looks like, no one's forcing you. It's not the devil making you sign this contract to have it. And I think a lot of spiritual people kind of trip over their egos when they want to go into full judgment over this, because we don't know the history of that soul who wants to choose to be a cow. We don't. We could assume, oh, they've never been human. That would be an interesting assumption, wouldn't it? We can assume a whole lot of stuff. So when you have this assumption that we all start off as like air and dust and then gravel and rocks, and we have this beautiful linear experience on earth. I mean, when you assume that and you think that the animal kingdom and the animal souls are beneath you, okay, well, that's a really sweet human concept, and maybe that's true for some, but maybe that's not true for all. And so the animals who are playing the animal roles right now could be very advanced souls, and exploring why those advanced souls are here now and wanting to have a life of a cow, a life of a chicken. Very purposeful. So we see this, and this is what my team wanted me to see today was these big spiritual people tripping over their human egos. And when you start knowing this information yourself, when you can start doing the basic things of respecting all life contracts and respecting free will, it's a game changer, right? That's a really profound thing when we just, and it's not complicated, right? Like the information and the morals and the lessons that all these people in our past history have tried to share with us to be able to remind ourselves to love ourselves without any exceptions, because we've had experiences and we didn't like that pickle ice cream, and maybe we did and we know we shouldn't, but it's still delicious. But again, no one's judging us, only us is judging us. And are you judging yourselves for liking pickled ice cream? And that may be part of your life contract, to be the role of loving that ice cream, to show everyone that this ice cream is still a valid choice. This is still okay. Whatever that means. So it is exciting times, but it's still quite heartbreaking times. And I know when they talk about the old earth experiences and all the things that are coming, it can feel very heavy and upsetting. And I don't want anyone to have a hard day. I don't want anyone to get upset. I don't want anyone to be confused about the grief process and what death means. It's fucking painful. I don't want anyone to have these experiences, and yet that's really not right, is it? Because they want those life contracts, they want those experiences, even the hard ones. And I can cry over people having their life contracts unfold exactly how they wanted it to, but that's kind of that's using my ego and my judgment to feel their pain, and it's not my pain, it's their pain, and I have to respect their journey. So all those people that want to hold on to the dramas of the tragedies, when it's simply life contracts playing out, it's a balance, because we can see it from the Thai perspective, but we also can feel it in a human perspective. And it's strange, sometimes we feel too cold because I'm not crying at a funeral, blah 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 blah. So having your own sessions is easy. Trusting that you're very connected is easy. Trusting the very first thing that comes into mind is easy. But also doubting seems to be very easy because we've been training to doubt ourselves for our entire lives. And so at one point or another, you're going to realize that the impulses and the intuition that you get straight away is your subconscious speaking. I do know, though, that some people are very not connected into their subconscious, and it's just the ego that is giving them the answers. And it's their answers that make sense for them and makes them it's very interesting. I feel like I'm sort of judging. It's observations. So yeah, it's really interesting. So this is why it's important to empower yourself, to channel your teams, to feel into yourself and take those moments to really go within and be super curious of your inner dialogue to self and your dialogue to others. And my friends, when you're saying love and light, but you're still judging people, you're judging people. And so people can feel that. And so when you are smiling and being all like, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, it's a beautiful day, blah, 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 there is that fake veneer that everyone can see and sense. And so your energy and your true intentions and your real input and feelings can be felt for all. And so, this is not a time to be faking anything. This is a time to really be aware that we can all read each other very well. And for those people who are still trying to keep it all together in a fake facade, this is when you really need more support because you're distracting yourselves. And we know friends who do this, blah, 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 blah. So what's really going on there for them? And as we know, the teams and the subconsciouses are not shy. And they will either trigger us to trigger other people, hideous, right? But also, this is them to grow. And, no one wants to be pointed out that there's spinach on their teeth, right? No one. But lots of people have spinach in their teeth and they don't know about it. So do you try to save them and tell them and remind them before 100 more people see it? It's interesting, isn't it? So fun times. The two sessions back to back are very intensive, and I hope people are experiencing this. With any healing, if you've still got a lot of emotional baggage within you and you haven't released it, looked at it, unpacked it, and then you get a big healing is it may seem magical when you're releasing all the density from you and all the trauma from you, but it doesn't just go somewhere like magically. If you're holding on to a lot of shock in your lungs and you're tight with your lungs and you've got very stiff lungs and you're not very flexible, when you release the trauma from the lungs, for example, it's going to look like a lot of healing in the fluids and a whole lot of stuff. And, that could look like a cold or whatever. So if you are having, colds or flus or something, it's always an upgrade because you've either just healed from something. So you've released stuff. And so then now you're purging and detoxing. So, is it trauma from this lifetime? Is it trauma from other lifetimes? Only you can find the answers to that in your own session in Tunes Are Free. So yeah, so many people are still labeling things like, oh, I'm sick. And, it's like, well, are you sick or is it just an upgrade? And, why? Are you finally releasing the bullshit that you've been carrying around for so long? Fun times if you have, because, it's a fantastic time to grow. Anyway, and I also have noticed this when a whole family is sick and they're like, oh no, this is an upgrade, a whole family is sick. And I'm like, well, what if the whole family has just had a big healing session together in some form? I know, lots of soul families are living together, and if they've had trauma from another lifetime of an event and that's all been healed as a collective, then yeah, you're all going to get sick at the same time because you're all healing from the trauma that has been healed. Fun times. So always explore stuff. Never assume anything and think about stuff in terms of immediate physics, what's really going on, because we love our labels as humans, and sometimes it's not the most accurate things that are happening to our bodies, but whatever makes sense for you, and whatever gives you high frequency. So choose love, I say, or eat the pickle ice cream and enjoy it. Whatever you're doing, enjoy it. It's always your choice. So those people that are addicted to the pickle ice cream feel terrible because they don't really like the ice cream, but they kind of do, but it's a habit now. And then you just feel bad and bad and bad and bad and bad because you just don't want to let go of the pickle ice cream. When you look at the reasons why you're wanting to love yourself, and to use this tool with this pickle ice cream, that is the inner work that you're needing to heal and love and respect and honor. And it's a fantastic time to heal. Okay, my friends, I love you. I feel like I've mansplained it. I feel like there's still so much to say. So enjoy your weekends, and enjoy October.